The position of the arm, the position of the hands, the position of the elbow underwater can seem really complicated. Wouldn't it be nice if it was actually really simple in terms of what swimmers need to do in order to execute an effective pull? Fortunately, it is. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. In this video, we're going to talk about the appropriate positions for effective hand and elbow position to create a ton of propulsion. And fortunately, the principles apply to all the strokes. They just happen in slightly different ways. Once you can understand and see what swimmers have to do, it becomes a lot simpler to help communicate to them how they can create a ton of propulsion in each stroke. So what needs to happen? Basically, the hand needs to be deeper than the elbow, and the elbow needs to be wider than the hand. When that's the case, swimmers tend to create a pretty big surface area to move a whole lot of water with, and it gives them a lot of flexibility to adapt those positions to the different strokes and to their specific anatomy. If they're a little bit stronger, their arms are a little bit longer, their arms are a little bit shorter, they've got a little bit more range of motion, they've got a little bit less range of motion. Every swimmer can get into these basic positions and create as much propulsion as possible for their frame. Let's check it out. So if we watch freestyle here, what we'll see is hand is deeper than the elbow is out wider, and that position is going to be maintained throughout most of the stroke. Same thing here, the elbow is wide, the hand is deep, and again, that's going to create a pretty effective position for swimmers to move water backwards with. So in this position, she's going to be strong, and she's going to have that whole forearm facing backwards, and she can pull the arm into the body and still maintain those positions. And so again, hand is deeper than the elbow is out wide, and those are the key principles. And so different swimmers may have the hand a little bit deeper. There may be a little bit more or a little bit less elbow bend, but the same idea is going to be there in all effective pulling. And two, what you may see is that arm stay a little bit wider with some swimmers. It may stay a little bit more under the body with some swimmers. Regardless, good positions are going to be created when the hand is deeper than the elbow and the elbow is wider than the hand. Now in butterfly, we're going to see the same thing. The hands are going to be deeper than the elbows are going to be out wide, and that simultaneously creates a big surface area, and it puts the arm in a position where the strongest muscles of the body can move the arm backwards there, and as she maintains that position throughout the pull as well. So holding that position, hands stay deep, elbows stay wide until the last second when the hands need to exit the water. So in, and then the hands get deep, the elbows get wide, and then the whole unit moves back. So we take a look at it from the front here as well. You can see hands are deep, elbows are wide, and then everything moves back. Again, hands are deep, elbows are wide, and everything moves back. And so a different swimmer may have the hands a little bit deeper, may have the hands a little bit shallower, may have the elbows a little bit narrower, but regardless, it's going to be the same basic concept based upon the swimmer's limb length, based upon their strength, and then based upon the range of motion they have throughout the upper body. So again, the setup of the stroke is getting the hand deep and the elbow out, and then the pull is going to happen moving straight back, maintaining those positions. And since it's a principle, it applies to breaststroke as well. So the hands are deep, the elbows are wide, and then the pull happens. So same concept, hands deep, elbows wide, and then squeezing back. Just a little bit different because the setup of the stroke is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a little bit more outward motion in the front of the stroke. There's going to be a little bit more inward motion in the back of the stroke, but it's the same idea. The hands get deep, the elbows stay wide, and then the pull comes back. Again, set up the same way. It's the same way to create those positions because, again, it's about surface area and then being in a position where the strongest muscles can pull with, and getting the hands deep and the elbows wide is the way to make that happen. Different breaststroker might have the hands a little bit deeper, might not be quite as wide, might be a little bit more narrow, could be a lot of different things, but the principle is going to be the same regardless of the swimmer. Get the hands deep, get the elbows wide, and then pull from that position. Now, because swimmers are on the back, it's a little bit different. What we'll see here is that the elbow is always going to stay deep and the hand is always going to stay wide. And so that's what you'll see with every backstroker swimming well, but it's going to be a little bit different from swimmer to swimmer. The swimmer on the right here has a little bit shallower pull. Her hand is a little bit wider out to the side. The elbow is not as deep. And then especially the swimmer on the far left, they have a much deeper pull. The elbow is getting down a lot deeper. You can see it right there. And she's going to pull a little bit narrower. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's just a little bit different. And that swimmer in between is somewhere in between with those positions as well. But in every case, the elbow is deep, The hand is higher than the elbow, and the hand is out wide to the side. And that happens for the same reasons. It puts the arm in a position where the whole forearm, the whole hand is facing backwards in all of these swimmers. And from that position, swimmers can squeeze back, pull straight back with the strongest muscles of the body and maintain that position of the surface area throughout the whole stroke. So it's ultimately simple, the position swimmers need to be in. With backstroke, it's about getting the elbow deep rather than the hand deep and the hand wide rather than the elbow wide. So it's more or less the opposite of freestyle. And that's because swimmers are flipped on their back versus their stomach, and they're dealing with the same structure of the arm. So things are flipped, but it's the same principles as when they're on their stomach. Get in a position where you can create a lot of surface area and then be in a position where you can create a lot of force. And so we get that same idea. So it's all about hand position and elbow position, and that is the most important thing for setting up the stroke effectively and then maintaining those effective positions throughout the pull. And what it's all about is finding the most effective position for each swimmer that allows them to take advantage of their structure, their strengths, and that will allow them to create as much propulsion as possible. If you want to see more about how swimmers create propulsion in all the strokes as demonstrated by elite swimmers, check out the video below.